Strange New Worlds gives you a tease of what's to come. Yeah. Well, things look a little different. So they've changed the uniforms. It looks like Anson Mount won't be dyeing his hair. It's going a little more whiter. So perhaps this is suggesting it's some amount of time has passed since the events that occurred with Captain Pike and crew from Star Trek Discovery. So looking at the uniforms at first glance, especially some of the brief scenes you get of Pike, I thought, oh, they're making them closer to looking like what they would have looked like, as well, not an exact replica, obviously, but somewhat to where the black collar appeared to be somewhat submerged, to where his shirt's all the yellow, which is what the original pilot had, where you didn't have the black collars on those shirts and whatnot. But then later I see the other characters, and no, it's still there. So I don't know if did they even think of that? Probably not. I don't know. But they give you more of the cast. So you knew number one, of course, with Rebecca Romijn and Ethan Peck's Spock would be in there. And Spock's haircut actually that's kind of a nod to how Spock looked in that pilot. It wasn't as well groomed as it was in the later the rest of the original series. So I thought, oh, maybe that's a nod to that. I don't know. And the Rebecca Romijn's number one, her shirt it seems to have these black sides to it, so it's odd. So they're not. It's just they just can't get it right, And unfortunately, the brief snippets of the bridge looks like they're making it more white than the black it had in the Star Trek Discovery version, which it's not the bridge that you're familiar with, but it's closer to it. It seems to have more nods to it, and a far superior Enterprise bridge to the one that was in the J.J. Abrams films. But now it looks like they've added more white to it. What they should have done is just left the black in it and removed the red and made it more rather drab shades of gray, as it was in that original pilot, The Cage, and a lot of that it was lacking in color, because when the other series when the other series got off the ground, they added in a lot more color and more bright color. Red was very prominent in it and all that sort of stuff. And so it's like, oh, well, you can just say some time has changed, and they gave it a new paint job and whatnot when Kirk takes over and all that. So okay. But anyway, I maybe just in the chair, brief scenes I've seen of him sitting in it, it looks similar. So maybe that's about it. But I'm not too happy about that. But that's rather minor stuff. So apparently, some other original characters will be making their debut. Ahura will be in it, young Ahura. So theoretically, that's not too far afield. You could have her in there, and that she signed on and was just a member of the crew before the handoff to Kirk happened. So because similar with Spock. So that's not trampling too much continuity there. It's possible that could have been the deal, though it limits the amount of time they have to make stories. Of course, maybe they're only thinking we're only going to get one season out of it. Before Kirk shows up. Are they planning to do that with Strange New Worlds, and they're just going to redo the original cast? And then there was talk about a bisexual Kirk and all that nonsense. So I don't know. So that Anson Mount will leave the show. Yeah. So, but then Christine Chapel has been cast. So it's wait, what? Now, of course, the only way this works, especially how the ship looks and all that stuff. This is an alternate timeline. This is not based on the original series. This isn't the original story. So you don't ever get the stories of Captain Pike and crew, which is sad, but that's the way it is. So Christine Chapel, of course, was introduced later in the original series. She didn't know any of these people. There was no indication she had ever served on the Enterprise. And unless they're going to have a recurring deal where they go to a certain star base and she's working on that and they meet her from time to time, but to have her a member of the crew and serving on this ship, that doesn't fit. And I'm sure, I suppose they'll do a story eventually where she meets her husband, and he's a scientist and he wants to go explore this, lost civilization on this world that, that ends up him dying and becoming an android and all that. Hey, Picard, you weren't first, and all that story. I suppose eventually they could do that. That would write her character out of the show, I suppose, because she's going to go off with him. But it's just, why do it? You could have just made a new character. They do have some new characters in there, but including an Andorian, so that's cool and everything. And then there's Dr. Mbenga, I think. There was this character, and they're saying he's this character. You would see him in the old show on occasion when McCoy wasn't available. You had this other doctor, and it was him. So so that actually kind of fits, so he would be the ship's doctor. And so as to where he was from the other episodes, he only appeared here and there. I don't know. He was just around, and we know why was McCoy the chief doctor, medical officer of the ship, and this guy wasn't. I don't know. But maybe they'll do a story explaining that or something. He's just like, I'm happy where I am, that's that sort of thing. Or that he left to go to another ship and he comes back or something like that. And the other characters, well, they're new, so that's fine. So you still got to go with this is an alternate universe type thing, because if nothing else, the appearance doesn't work. It just doesn't fit. So that's too bad. If they have actual sci-fi writers, I mean, you've got your cast. They've got, it's a multiracial cast. So you got that. You checked off that checkbox. You've got, and one of the new characters looks to be, I'm assuming she's gay. She's got the haircut and everything. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but so you there you go. You got, and maybe they'll make the doctor gay too. I don't know. And at least he's in the blue shirt. I noticed Christine Chapel was in a white uniform, which that never appeared in the early shows. It was always blue. So I don't know why they're doing that. Why can't she be in a blue shirt? But then again, like I said, maybe she'll be a recurring character and she's on some star base that they frequent. That type of thing, and maybe if they do it that way, that could fit better. So that's what they got. The odds of this being good are, extremely bad, considering what we've seen from Secret Hideout Trek. But it's the first time for everything. Anson Mount is a fine character. You could tell that this was your guy, even in the Discovery. The few scenes he got to get any screen time and stuff, he was realizing this guy could carry a show and that sort of thing. So there's possibilities if someone would just get out of the way and let it happen. And like I said, stop preaching your which is really just the opposite of what they claim to be with their lectures and whatnot, and just do science fiction. You've got your cast. Good. Fine. If the stories are good, I really don't care how many gay people are on the show. I don't. But, Kurtzman says it's a platform to preach to people. So, as long as that rules the day, and they re-signed the guy with I forget how much, it was a ridiculous amount of money with nothing to show for it, so he fails upward. But God, this is hard to do. I mean, I just how much I like Star Trek, and to see this type of stuff, and because I know better. Hey, if it's just this superficial stuff and they get to actual adventures and stories, it could be good, even though it doesn't really fit with continuity and stuff. You write it off as a parallel universe, and okay. But yeah, I know better. Damn it. Oh, well. Anyway, that's what they showed for Strange New Worlds. And so there it is. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.